Hey guys, Abby here, your fitness chick. Happy Labor Day, happy Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed having an extra day off. I'm always off from the day spa on Mondays, but work on your fitness chick on Mondays. So I worked all day today. I've been running around like a crazy lady, a little stressed. How ironic. That's what I'm talking about tonight. You know, I always like to change our topics. I show up here every Monday night at 8 p.m. to inspire, uplift, educate, and motivate you. So this Monday, even though it's Labor Day, I'm here for you. So I thought tonight would be a really great topic, would be stress. Because let's face it, life is crazy. And anybody who escapes stress, they're not real people, right? So I just had a funny, stressful moment I'm going to share with you. So I've been running around all day, just super busy. I had lunch with my friend, but been doing crazy stuff. And right before, I go live, I'll do a little quick freshen up. And I was just in the bathroom and I kept rubbing at something. And when you get past a certain age, I kept rubbing on it. And then I'm like, oh, this is part of my face now. I have some kind of new freckle that just came out of nowhere. So there you go. So I thought that was really funny. So what was your favorite thing about today besides having an extra day off? So I had something really cool just happen about a half hour ago. I had a little lizard in my condo. And for my northern friends who don't understand, in Florida, lizards are like our mascots down here in Florida. So whenever I see one, I'm just like, oh my God, I got to get you outside. Otherwise, you're a dead man, So I was able to get him, his tail intact and everything. So I was really happy about that. So let's talk tonight about stress. So stress is actually necessary, and not all forms of stress are bad. In fact, if you think about the time back in the Stone Age, that's how we're still here. That's how they survived. And we've heard of the stories, of the body going into fight or flight when you're put into a very scary situation. Like if there's a child and a car falls on a child and miraculously the mom's able to lift up this 4,000 plus pound vehicle off the child. And that's due to the body's state of being in stress. So when we're in stress, we're either in a fight or flight situation, right? So when that happens, when we go into a high state of stress, our body swoops in to save the day and sends a lot of blood to the muscles, along with the release of several chemicals like norepinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol, and all those things fuse together to make us able to adapt and achieve things that are usually not humanly possible, right? So that's a good state of the body to be able to have as an option for an emergency, right? Here's the problem. The problem is that instead of our bodies only going into that state when needed, I want you guys to guess and leave it in the comments as we're talking right now. How many times a day do you think the average individual goes into fight or flight? Just guess. Give me some numbers here. Remember, it's only supposed to be in the state of emergency, but the way that the bodies are now, does anybody have any guesses? I'm not seeing any comments. I don't know. Maybe I can't see them. So anyway, I'll give you the answer. 30 times, you guys. 30 times is the average that a person goes into fight or flight. So, I'm talking about little trivial things that happen throughout the day, like you're running late for work. You get every frickin' red light. Isn't that the way it goes? I swear to God. And when you want a green one, forget it. If you want to put lipstick on a red light, when you want it, you can't get it, right? So running late, red lights, you spill your coffee, you have to wait in a long line at the grocery store. All these things are signaling the body to go into fight or flight when it's really not meant to be in that way, only in states of emergency. And that's why when we get the slightest piss, we want to beat the shit out of people because we have this buildup of non-released cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. So I'm going to talk about at the end of my 20-minute segment how you can overcome stress. But I wanted to talk about some of the effects of stress. on the body. So it's undeniable that there's a mind-body connection. And there's two examples I always give when I'm talking about this. The first one is when the abster gets stressed, which I do a really good job, I have to say. It's been a while since this has happened, knock on wood. When I get really stressed, you know what happens? Some of you can probably relate to this. I get a cold sore. So that's proof right there that the mind-body has a very strong connection, that when I'm thinking about stuff, when I'm really, really worried, it releases all these chemicals in the body and it actually produces a cold sore. Another prime example I'll use is the mind-body connection, not just in humans, but in pets too. When you take your dogs to the vet or the groomers or whatever, my poor little Gigi, she just starts shaking because, again, mind-body connection, she's fearful and uncomfortable in the situation she's in, and so therefore her body is reacting. That's considered a stressor, the vet. So it's causing stress within her body, okay? So what are the types of stress? There's actually several types of stress. I'm going to talk about two different kinds tonight. The first one is acute stress. Acute stress is short-term stress, and it's like when you barely miss an accident. You know that fact when somebody pulls out right in front of you, you slam on your brakes and you get that prickly feeling and your stomach goes to your throat. That's acute stress. When you get an emergency call from home, when you have a deadline, a paper due, a final, whatever, a proposal you got to get ready for work. Those are going to cause things known as acute stress. Some of the symptoms when you have acute stress can be anxiety. It can be stomach issues. You might get a migraine, things like that. But those things usually go away when your incident of stress goes away, right? So that's acute stress. Then there's chronic stress. So chronic stress is something that goes more long-term. And this is the type of stress that's going to weigh you down for a period of time. And that's the one you really need to be careful of, you guys. Stress will kill you. And actually, I had somebody private message me today after I had posted what my Facebook Live was going to be about tonight. Or actually, I think she commented that it almost killed her. Stress almost killed her. And we have to recognize that it's inevitable, you guys. We're going to be faced with stress. The world's a shit show. And so we're going to be faced with stress on a daily basis. And if we don't take hold and be proactive about protecting ourselves from it and training ourselves on ways to overcome it, it's going to take a long-term effect on you, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. So chronic stress, some effects of that, which I know this firsthand, is memory loss. You know, when you're super stressed long-term, you know, that blood is sent to the muscles to protect you for fight or flight. And therefore, you're going to have a decrease in your cognitive function. It's going to affect your work performance, and it's going to affect you being able to multitask. It's going to affect you on a day-to-day basis with your cognitive function. So chronic long-term stress will definitely affect you in your brain. Okay, so we need to be careful of that. The other thing that chronic stress does, and we have to be careful, especially this time of year coming into flu season. Remember, your fitness chick just had the flu a couple weeks ago. Is that when you have chronic stress, it's going to weaken your immune system. It's going to make you a lot more likely to catch that cold, especially if you're not sleeping good and you're not eating right and all that good stuff. Because when you have a high amount of stress, it weakens your immune system, so your body doesn't have the ability to fight off microorganisms like a person who is not in that chronic fight or flight state. So weakened immune system is definitely an after effect of chronic stress. The third thing, this is where all this women are going to get really excited or sad or both. The third thing that chronic stress does to you is it causes expedited aging. And I'm an esthetician, which is a skincare therapist. And so I'm all about fighting the clock, using collagen, doing a nighttime routine for your skin, a daytime routine of your skin. You can do all that and be buying your $500 jar of La Mer, y'all. But if you're stressed all the time, and I know you know people who live a hard life, who have been stressed, who have had a hard life, and they're wearing it because they look a lot older than they should, probably due to chronic stress. So what happens is when you have long-term stress, it shortens what's known as your telomeres, which is your protective cap on your cells. And what that does is it causes your skin cells to age faster. And I don't care how expensive your moisturizer is, it's not going to help that. So that's a very significant side effect of chronic stress. Another thing is sleep disorders. And we already all know how hard it is to get a good night's sleep. So when you're chronically stressed, it actually leads to something known as hyperarousal. And I've been in this state before where it's like you're so exhausted, you get excited to go to bed, but you're wired. And like when you get to bed, you start thinking about all these things. And then you scroll through Facebook, which is too stimulating. And it actually creates a biological state where individuals really have a hard time sleeping. And that just makes stress worse, right? So it's like leading an uphill battle. So that's one of the major things of chronic stress. So that's just a short version. How do we take control back and gain more anchorage over stress? How do we empower ourselves? Drum roll. Ready? Drum roll. What's the first thing you think I'm going to say? Remember, I'm your fitness check. Exercise. Exercise, exercise. You guys, when you exercise, and if you guys have done this in the past, you know what I'm talking about, right? Instead of wanting to beat the shit out of people because you can't get your Starbucks before you go to work because you have so much unreleased adrenaline, go release that adrenaline through exercising. And remember, any exercise is better than no exercise. So if you don't commit like I do and you're not all engulfed in it like I am, no problem. Do it for your sanity, if anything else. So how much should you exercise to have the benefit of stress relief? So I would usually say about 120, 150 minutes a week, 3 days a week, 3 workout sessions. Just go for a freaking walk. It's better than nothing. And that's going to really help you not only release that buildup of adrenaline from being in fight or flight due to stress, but it's also releasing all that good stuff in the brain, right? It's like serotonin, dopamine, all the good neurotransmitters. So exercise is number 1. The second thing that you can do to help with stress, and this is like no secret, you guys. Everything I'm telling you is no secret. We just need to be reminded of it, right? The second thing that we can do to help with stress is to just breathe, right? So we're trained to be shallow breathers, and we really need to start recognizing that under times of stress, we almost hold our breaths. And that's really not a good thing. So when you find yourself in a stressful situation, just go sit, put your feet flat on the floor. I feel like something's crawling on me. Put your feet flat on the floor, put your hands on your lap, close your eyes, and envision like your most happy place, right? And then just take some deep breaths in, hold them and do it from your diaphragm. Like really take big, deep breaths in, hold it for a few seconds, and then just blow it out. Take just a minute or 2, okay? And if you can't take a minute or 2 to breathe, you should reevaluate your life. So then, besides exercising, the number 2 thing you can do to help with stress is to take deep breaths. Exercise and take deep breaths. That's going to help you with stress, okay? The third thing that you can do to help you with stress is eating right, okay? So what do we usually do when we're stressed? We eat like shit, right? Or we don't eat at all. It's usually one way or another. But if you're eating right, you're doing probiotics. I'm a huge fan of probiotics, drinking your kombucha tea, sauerkraut, Greek yogurt. It helps with your microbiome. It just rechannels all the chemicals in your body that aren't doing you any good and provides ones that are. Eating right, eating healthy, eat a balanced nutrition scale. Protein, carbohydrates, fats. You need all of them, okay? but eating right actually helps your whole body react better to stress. The fourth thing is make time for yourself, you guys. I don't care how busy you are. We are all busy, and we all have the same amount of 24 hours in a day. And if you are giving from a cup that's half empty, or a cup that's half empty, you're not doing anybody a service. So you've got to take time for yourself. Do hobbies that you enjoy. Do your exercising. Do your reading. Do stuff that's more relaxing and peaceful. When you're doing stimulating things like social media and TV and gaming, it's just overstimulating. But so find something that's really going to help you find your inner peace, calm you down, prayer, meditation, whatever it is, as silly as it sounds, just taking some time for yourself. Take a vacation day, do a staycation. I did that actually. I was working on my website and stuff, but I took a bunch of naps during that time. I did a lot of extra reading because I absolutely love to read. And when I went back to work after taking that time off, I was just completely refreshed and renewed because it had lowered my stress level and it felt good to do stuff for yourself. So that's one of the other things that you can do to help deal with stress. The other thing, this is a no-brainer, you guys. If you're suffering from chronic stress, get rid of your triggers. If you have something that is continuously triggering you to be stressed, whether it's a relationship, then you either get rid of that person or you need to go to counseling. You need to work on that relationship and make it better so that you're not stressed out. If you don't like your job, then you need to figure out what you can do to get a new job. And it's possible, so I don't want to hear any excuses, because with as much shit as we have at our disposal and fingertips, you could be getting your degree online while you're still working, and it may be hard, but if you're really that unhappy, you get rid of it if it's a trigger, right? Life is too short to not be happy. So get rid of your triggers. If you come to a point when you know you need help, you guys, if you feel suicidal, and again, I am not a psychologist, I am not a psychiatrist, I encourage you, always seek counsel from your doctor. We will not be suing Your Fitness Check ever. But if you are feeling that you're having a difficult time coping, maybe it is time to reach to an external source. Maybe you should seek out a therapist. Maybe you should talk to a doctor about a possible, anti-stress, antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication. So, just recognize when you're feeling stressed, keep a journal of it, write down what's causing it, and then step back and evaluate it. Okay? So I hope that was helpful for you guys. A lot of it is just common sense and stuff that we really just need to stop and remind ourselves about. But if I can be of help to you and design an exercise program for you that will change the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you're able to handle stress, because the reality is life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. So if I can be of help for you to do that, please visit my programs at my website at www.yourfitnesscheck.com. If you have any questions, I'm always here to help. I'd love to help you guys. You can email me at support@yourfitnesscheck.com. Leave a comment if you have a question, private message me on Facebook. So there's all kinds of ways to get in touch with me. So thank you so much for joining in. Have a great week, you guys. Get a hold of that stress. Do something really good for yourself, because you know what? You deserve it. You deserve to become the best version of yourself. Have a great week, and I will see you here next Monday night for Facebook Live.